What's up, guys?
What's up?
Dude, how's it going?
Oh,
man, you
man.
caught me. I'm still texting. I'm sorry.
It's hard. Well, I mean, we got to get back into the flow after this long break. I really enjoyed my break. Didn't have to record, didn't have to work, didn't have to do much on the making chip side. So,
dude, you've just been slacking. We have been recording episode after episode of this MBA series.
Yeah.
I think Paul recorded 6 one day.
Yeah,
I did.
Last week or something.
I mean, jokes aside, appreciate you guys recording without me. I've been super busy, not on vacation. I've been super busy, and it's just been tough to align. But that's why we have 3 of us.
It is. It's
That's why
good to distribute the load.
Yeah, appreciate you guys picking up the slack. So, my favorite, I came back because I had to be a part of this topic. My favorite topic, my favorite aspect of business. Do you guys, are you bought into this? There's kind of 3 elements to any business. You've got sales and marketing, kind of the external customer side. You've got your operations, and then you've got your finance. Like if you can kind of boil any business down to those 3 things. So the first one is where I roll, sales and marketing. My older brother is like a lean operations, continuous improvement person. My younger brother is like a finance guy. He'll be our CFO. So my dad was very strategic with the family planning.
That's a good. I think of it as a 3-legged stool.
Yeah.
Right. They all have to be strong, equal in length. If one gets weaker or too much, the thing will tip over. And at ProCNC, at least, I was sales and marketing. Kelsey was operations, and his brother Darcy was finance, and that was the stool, just like your family.
Yeah,
business.
it's awesome. So. That's cool. Yeah, so as part of Machine Shop MBA, I think we talk a lot about a specific MBA program, basically for someone who runs a machine shop, someone who runs a manufacturing company, and these areas of sales and marketing can mean so many different things. They're like super broad. Even in Europe, like marketing kind of means more sales than it does here. Here, marketing means like they do the website and SEO and AdWords and stuff like that, which drives me crazy. But I wanted to get like really niche specific to like how to basically bring in revenue to your shop. And for that, we have to bring in an expert guest, the best Mike on the episode today. So as second best Mike Payne, why don't you introduce the other Mike?
Well, hopefully the best Mike is no stranger to the audience.
Yeah.
We've had Mike's been on Making Chips. He's been on Machine Shop Mastery. He's been on By the Numbers. And he's got one of our shows in the family, Machine Shop Growth. So, Mike, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much,
good
guys.
to have you here.
Yeah, it's so good to
have you.
So good to be here, man. Nick, I heard you you took a break. The question is, did the episodes get better while you were off, or did they
Totally
get worse?
better.
Totally better. Okay.
I haven't listened to it.
Well, the reviews are through the roof.
Okay. Listenership was up. I'm told often the days I leave my shop, they grow much, much faster.
Yeah, see, that's what it is. It was just a leadership test.
Yeah.
These guys are doing great.
They're like, if Mike would get out of here, we would be able to grow way faster.
Right.
Oh, it's funny. So we got some feedback. Barry, if you're listening, we love Barry, but he's been listening since the beginning. And I was like, so what do you think of the show? What do you think of this new era of making chips? And he's like, oh, all right, you guys are awesome. I love it. Paul and Mike just bring so much knowledge and wisdom. And I was like, thanks,
what about
Barry.
I'm the one asking the question.
So then and Barry's a good friend of mine. So then I'm like, all right, well, what could be better, And he's like, well, I mean, sometimes it just seems like you're just trying too hard to be funny. I'm like, I hate this.
He said, this is the worst conversation I've had all month.
No, I love it. I mean, it's just, I was like, dude, we're just joking around all the time. That's exactly how we are, even when we're not recording. So.
Yeah.
So Mike, take us. Let's just jump right into the meat and potatoes of this episode, and take us to kind of like your overall philosophy on sales from the machine shop perspective.
Yeah. So whether we buy shops and then we take these shops over, every single one of them are essentially salesless shops. And what I mean by that is they don't have a sales force, and they sure as hell don't have a sales strategy. Mm-hmm. And so the sales strategy is what I call a cashier model. A cashier model is I stand at the cash register, and when somebody walks down the aisle, I will ring them out. And that cashier model is killing shops across the country. They're sitting at their desk. As long as a PO comes in, we'll make the part. But I'm not going to walk out into the aisles of the store and go ask people, hey, did you see we had this product over here? I could help you with this product. Did you see it? Nobody's walking in the aisles, quote unquote, trying to help customers make better decisions.
Oh, I love the cashier model is killing shops across the country. That needs to be our social post for this episode.
Yeah.
And my whole team knows this whole model is, we talk about this on our thing. Were we cashiers today or did we walk the aisles? Like we say that often.
Yeah.
And the idea is I'm not going to stand, and I learned this from my speaking days when my agent would book me to speak at a lot of these events. I'd tell him, I'd say, dude, don't be a cashier model where you just are giving me gig. Go out and start shaking the trees, get me business. And it's the same thing. I don't care if you're selling flowers or parts, bro. You have got to have a sales strategy where you're not just sitting back waiting for the beloved customer to walk through the door and say, can I give you money? That is the business model. 90% of the shop owners, maybe more, are running out there, and it's killing us. It's choking the oxygen.
Well, it creates this brutal sales cycle of feast and famine.
100%.
That just kills cash flow, kills growth.
Totally.
It's just the
Paul,
worst.
It reminds me of, if you go back to the episode you and I recorded on By the Numbers a month ago or something, where we talked about that, how do I get out of this 1.5 million ceiling, right?
2 million,
if you're a cashier and you've been in business for 20 years and you have a cashier sales model, you'll have a number you hit and it'll drop, couple percent a year.
Yep.
Right. Like it's just, it's going to slowly go away as parts go, dormant with your customer or stuff like that. And like new parts come, you're not the person they're thinking about requoting like new parts. But you're going to make the stuff you've always made for them.
Or they make a decision to bring some of the in-house or whatever. Yeah. Anything can happen.
Over 5 or 10 years, you can have a fine lifestyle sitting there at a lifestyle business that's paying you well and doing a lot of things, but you're going to cap out and then you're going to start on that decline part of your business cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's why. The only reason people make money in that model, a cashier model, is when whoever they work for, whatever customers they make parts for, if their customers are buying.
Right.
You have no control over that. When you're a cashier, you have no control if your customers are marketing well to the parts, meaning they need more inventory from your shop. You are completely, you're a victim of that model if you still have that model, because it's basically like if your customers aren't selling and they don't need more inventory, what are you going to do? And here's why I think that 2% drop or whatever percentage drop happens every year. Rarely will a company send you the same part year after year after year for 10 years and never ask the question, how do we get this made cheaper and how do we get it made more efficiently? Rarely will that happen. Now, sometimes it happens if they have a part with a specific, quality process attached to that part. They ain't going anywhere else. Okay, great. You have that part as long as they're making that part. But that model's killing people. Yeah. And so my goal, our mission, even at Machine Shop Growth and within our companies, and our podcast is to train this, and in our companies to do this, is to help people understand the 3 different types of customers, the psychology of each one of those customers, so they can build specific strategies to go get those customers. And that's really our mission, our passion.
Yeah, I want to get into that, but I was just thinking about like one of the first episodes in this series, and it was like how you launch your company in the first place. Yeah. And I think that is why people get locked into the cashier model, because so often the way you launch your company is like, hey, I was making parts for my employer and then I started my own shop and now I still make parts for that same employer. Mm-hmm. I'm basically like this captive supplier to them. Yep. And so like however they grow, however things ebb and flow is like really where all my initial revenue came from. And then they never had to go door to door, if you will, or they never had to go outbound and sell their services or make their own brand. They were just supplier to X.
Exactly.
And so...
Yeah, exactly. I mean? They're really not a machine shop. They're an overflow shop. And that is that's the most dangerous shop to be in any part of this job shop world.
So that might be why you get your start, but like you can't live in there forever.
Cannot. Yeah, it's just unpredictable.
And I know there'll be people out there saying, well, I do this, but I'm growing every year. And it is possible. Like, the engineers you work with, they move companies, the buyers, they move. And if you've done a great job for them, they will likely call you from that new company and you'll get a new customer and so you can have some growth, but you're still at the whim of what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You're
just
not
out of
taking
control.
you're not taking control of it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't want every time I drive into a shop, I have a sense of responsibility because I see every car in my parking lot that's payroll is dictated by my ability to create revenue and create safety for them in our companies.
Mhm.
And so when I drive into our shops and I see the cars parked outside, my question is creating safety for them worth on a whim? Is it worth just hoping my customers send me work? I need to go shake the trees and make sure all these people. So part of it is a responsibility for us as owners is to say, people that work here, it's our job to go.
Sure.
And that's part of what we do as owners is we create safety for our customers.
Yeah, you have to take that
employees.
personally.
You do. You have to. We feel it
Well,
when I drive in, right?
Yeah,
Well,
we
I
talked
couldn't
we talked a little bit about that even all the way back in the second episode of the series where we talked about that mindset of an entrepreneur, right? Like that is that, purpose-driven mindset you have to have when you're going down this road.
Yeah, well, Mike, to your point, I felt that very personally when I was responsible for sales at Pro CNC. It's like we got 75 households relying on me ultimately to make sure we have enough business that they get full employment and they're making their mortgage and rent. And
true.
That weighs heavily. So
Absolutely.
So doing the best you can by building working through the strategies we're going to talk about today is a way to help relieve your own stress as the person responsible for feeding all these mouths.
One more quick anecdote, and then let's talk about like these three types of customers, Mike.
Sure.
We had a time in the past where we were with one of our. I'll try to keep everything anonymous, but this was our company. Okay, we were with one of our branches, one of our areas, and we were reviewing like the logged visits, which customers did we visit, how frequently.
Yep.
And the number was just ridiculously low. Like, and my brother was like, he's our president. He's almost got tears in his eyes. He's so frustrated and passionate about this. And he's like, have you ever worked next to somebody who's been laid off? Someone who had to say, hey, go home and tell his wife, like, hey, Christmas isn't going to be the same this year. We might not be able to take that vacation, whatever it is.
Yep.
He's like, if they knew that we only visited this many customers and they found you out in the parking lot, you better get to your car quick and lock the door. He was serious. He's like, and that's the way we have to feel it.
Absolutely. We do. We do. We have to take it very personally when you think, kids are relying on us. Spouses are relying on us. Families are relying on us.
And it's not a stretch to say that. It's true.
Not at all.
No, it's 100% true.
We have to take that, as Mike said, personally. That has to be a person. I mean, our mission at APP, our company that owns all of our companies, is to add 1,000 jobs to manufacturing. And when I told people when we launched that mission, I said, you have to understand the weight of that mission on us as a team to lead it. Because if we bring in 1,000 people and we reach our goal in 4, 5, 10 years, whatever that number is, that's 1,000 times bigger or whatever it is bigger than we are right now of responsibility to people. We got to take that so serious.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned three types of customers.
Yeah.
Let's hear that.
Yeah. So part of understanding these three different types of customers, the reason we bucket them and we separate them is because each one of them have a different psychology of why they will work with you or do work with you. The head is different. And so one of the things that I don't think we think of enough, especially in the sales cycle, is why do customers either change companies to come to you? When do customers change? Why would they choose you? When do they choose? Why are they looking for new vendors? What is happening in their company? So they're looking for new options. So a lot of that has to be surfaced and to even understand how to build a successful sales strategy. And so we put these in buckets of three different types of customers, and that is new, dormant, and current customers. A current customer is somebody that is sending you POs fairly frequently. We like to say has sent you a PO within a year, but we do have some shops where we have some bigger customers that send us a really massive order every 18, 20 months, because it's a massive order. They still have us do that part. So that would be considered a new customer, a current customer. So there is some nuance here, but just catch this message, however. A current customer is somebody that's just doing business with you now. You're getting POs in your email or whatever, and you're doing their work. Dormant customer, somebody you used to do work for them, but you don't anymore. And then a new customer, somebody you've never done work for. They probably don't even know you exist. And dormant, when we come into a business, the customers you do work for now is always your fastest way to the cash. It's your fastest way to revenue, is leveraging new customers. And it's not saying, hey, can we make more of this part? Because I guarantee you, if they needed more of that part, they'd ask you to make more of that part. So it's usually not that. It's getting families of parts inside their business that would help serve them, and to get them to bring those parts to you. So we have found the best thing. You mentioned visits with your customers, Nick. The best thing we have seen succeed in anything we've done, if there's something I could do 20 times more of, it would be meet with our customers more often and just ask 3 questions. How did we do this last quarter for you? Is there anything we can do better? And do you have any parts we can look at and see if we can win more dollars in your pocket for?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3 questions we ask in every customer meeting. Like, how we doing? Like, is there anything we should change? Oh, you know what? You guys have been, one time they were like, you guys have been, I don't remember what, putting the packing slip underneath the parts or something. It was something stupid. But so we didn't know if the packing list was in there. We couldn't check it until we unloaded the box. Well, we thought, here's the deal. Our system, they put it in so they didn't want it to blow away. So they were putting the parts on top of the packing slip. But our customer didn't want that. So by that meeting, we're like, we can switch that and adapt to their system. But in that same meeting, after we change that, we're talking about that. We're like, hey, do you have any other parts? I do have a part I'd like you to at least quote. And so it begins.
Mm-hmm.
And so those meetings are not optional.
Yeah,
Let me
Mike,
repeat that. It's not optional.
Right.
Mike Payne, you told the story that when you bought a shop, go in and talk to these customers. One of them was buying machine parts, didn't know you even do fab work. Another one's about fab parts, didn't even know you were a machine shop too.
Yeah.
So you got tons of low-hanging fruit, exactly to Mike's point.
Yeah, no, so Hill has always been about 50% machine, 50% weld and fabrication. But yeah, when we bought it, there was really 2 primary customers, one in each of those departments.
Sure.
And those 2 primary customers did not know that we did the other, right?
No.
So when I had them out to do a shop tour and meet me and meet their team and all that, I'd already been to their place, but I wanted them to come to ours. And you take the weld customer through. So in our shop, Mike, you're the only one that hadn't been here, but in our shop, you have to walk through the machine shop to get to the weld shop. And they were like, wow, you have a lot of machines.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you machined, right? And then vice versa, when you had the machine customer out, the weld shop, you don't have to see it if you walk through the machine shop, right? So they had never seen and immediately, I would say, within months after that meeting, we were now doing weld work for the machine customer and we were doing machine work for the welding customer.
It's awesome that you brought up visits and then you brought up them visiting you.
Yeah.
So you got to go see your customers and see their shop and see what they've got going on. But if they get a chance to get a tour of your facility, that's gold. That's so good for us.
It's even better. It's even better if they come to see you. Number one, there's a commitment of time already. And so they're already thinking, how do we make an ROI out of this day that I'm coming to visit this shop? So that's a really good option. Plus, they get to meet the heartbeat of your team, which we have found. We get them inside of our shop. Our goal, our statement inside is this. We get them inside our 4 walls. We have more to quote.
So Mike, Herco, I went to Indianapolis to see Herco. They're going to get a nice plug here. We were working on a project with them. Actually, we were doing a cool animation that shows how their machines get built. This is back when Making Chips had the little marketing agency inside of it. Where they're like, we want to do a how it's made. And they're like, basically, here's why. 90% of the people who get a tour of how our machines are built in our facility in Indianapolis buy a machine. That's the highest close rate by far of any of our customer appointments. So they're like, so how do we take that and make it this, external thing we can share with a link in an email? And that's what we help them do.
Sure. Yeah. So that new customer, it's by far your lowest hanging fruit. The people that know you, like you, trust you. Now, if you buy a shop that has lost relational credibility, like maybe you bought a shop or you came into a shop, or even you with the customer have lost some relational capacity or relational capital, we call it, where you've been late on some parts, maybe some parts didn't hit quality standards or whatever, then those meetings are important so they know you're in the game. Because I'll tell you, for a lot of companies, for them to take a part and move to another shop, that's a big deal, especially if it's a fairly high run part. That's not just an easy thing to just I'll just have another machine shop quota. That's not necessarily an easy thing. So they would rather you shape up your act and get your act together and stay with you if they can hit your timeline and quality. So those current customers are so vital to the company already. They're what pay your bills. But I think there's at least a 20% growth opportunity in every customer profile book in the country if they just go tap their current customers. We have seen it. We've actually seen more than that.
I would say that feels low.
Yeah, I feel like 20% is low, but if you, but I think that there's at least a 20% opportunity of growth with doing nothing but going and talking to your customers. And I'll tell you, a lot of times we're sitting there, we're not talking about anything but, did you get a deer this year? Where are you going? Where are you going fishing this year? We're just sitting there talking.
What do you think of the draft picks of the Chicago Bears?
Dude,
gosh.
You went, hey, at least the Cubs look good this year, at least.
Yeah. But that's what you end up talking about. Actually,
exactly.
I had a guy from one of the fastest growing machine builders in the country. We were out to dinner with him last week, and he said, look, if you come into my office and all you want to do is talk about machines, just get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's all I do all day. Yeah,
says,
totally.
That's all we do anyway.
Exactly.
It's about relationship.
It's about that relational piece. In fact, we knew we won. We got a thank you note 5 months ago from one of our biggest customer in our entire portfolio companies. We got a thank you note because we rushed some parts. They're a VIP customer. We'll put them in front of anybody because they order a lot of stuff, and we got a thank you note. Thank you guys. You guys did such good. Then they came into our shop and they brought in lunch and stuff for all of our workers and stuff.
Cool.
Last
That's
month.
awesome.
And they put on an appreciation event for us. And what we did was we gave a bonus to all of our guys for that, because what we believe is every machine shop is losing revenue by just not loving on their current customers.
Yeah.
So please if you hear nothing else in this episode, you got to go hear that. You're missing out on, and I'm not, it's an email. Hey, I'd love to come by and just check, touch base next week. Do you have some time that I could swing in for 10 to 20 minute meeting? Doesn't have to be an hour, but I'll tell you, it works wonders.
And I'll add one tactic you could try in this regard, because we're going through this right now with a new, but now current customer. And what I'm seeing is, I haven't ever done this. And what I'm seeing is incredible results. So we have invited, as part of our kind of onboarding of that customer, we encourage them to come see us every Monday at 10 or something like that. And we'll walk through where we're at with these jobs and all, because there's critical parts to them. We can do every Monday, 10 o'clock in our shop, status update. We can go touch, feel,
see what's going on.
We can, bring your quality guy. We can do first articles together, whatever we want to do. Right. And they were enthusiastic about that. Well, I mean, so this is not only you wanting to do it, but you also have to have a customer that wants to do it.
He is willing. Yeah. Because that might be a tall ask for some customers.
It's a tall ask, I think, for most customers.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think if you can ask it and they accept, you should absolutely chase this. And what has happened is they're in my shop for about an hour a week. Sometimes it's Monday. This week it was yesterday, right? They had a conflict, but they didn't want to miss the meeting. So they rescheduled. They came yesterday, brought actually somebody from quality, like I just said. And now those meetings have really turned into much less about what we're doing for them already and more into what else we can do for them.
Of course. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Yeah. It absolutely is. Yeah. That's really good.
I'd love to share another tactic. When you go to these monthly, quarterly meetings, if you're going to their site and they can't come to you, bring either a parts case or a photo album of things that you make, the broad variety of whatever.
Yeah.
I used to do that when I went to my customers, and people are visual. And especially if you have smaller parts that fit in in a case, they will pick, you're in the conference room, you open that case, put it in front of them, they will pick those parts up, look at them, and they're like, you know what? We have a part that's just like this.
Yeah.
And I've been having trouble with a vendor on it. Right.
That's such a great point.
Or if it's, again, too big, just, and it doesn't have to be super fancy, but, get some decent pictures, put them in a little portfolio sleeves, stick them in there, whatever. And they will look through that and be like, oh, I didn't even know you made parts this size. Or,
Paul,
whatever.
Paul, that's such a great point. One of the stops on my tour of the shop, which is maybe something you wouldn't typically do, but I actually do it really early on because I have my route, right? I get messed up if I don't take the same route around my shop. But
Just freeze up, go home.
One of the things we do, so we a lot of the parts we make, we've been making for a while, and we have maybe blanket orders on, stuff like that. So we actually have a pretty high amount of inventory, I would say, of parts for our customers.
Yeah.
So one of the things I do is I immediately walk us through our horseshoe, like right out of the gate, to show the customers, hey, there's a box of 50 parts in this, and then here's one part that's on a pallet.
Yep.
Right. Like there's one part per pallet, to show them before we even start walking around the shop, all the type of stuff we do.
Sure.
And I would say that 90% of the time someone goes, oh, we have a part that looks almost exactly like that one.
Yeah.
And it opens that door to that conversation of
totally.
So yeah, the pictures is a great idea. I hadn't thought about taking pictures to them, but if I get them in here, it's one of the first things I do.
And this is something that's perfect for this series, right? It's Machine Shop MBA. That you wouldn't find that in a general sales book. Hey, bring a box of parts.
Yeah, right. Sure.
But they're going to see that and be like, oh, I know what machines it takes to make that part. We have parts like that. If you have those machines, you can make parts for it. One more tactic so what we're talking about is basically a type of sales management. It's account management. It's maximizing the value of a single customer or a group of customers that you already have. And I think what happens is you get too connected sometimes. You're too tight, and you never even ask certain questions. Like, you wouldn't believe how many customers we've had for a decade, and in some cases we don't know, like, what we call wallet share. Like, we don't know what percentage of the business we get. We just know we get a lot of business.
Sure.
We had one. It was like one of our top customers, and they were like, "You're getting about 20% of our business. We want to give you more." And we were like, "Whoa! Like, you could be 5 times bigger."
Yeah.
So you have not because you ask not. And so with account management for us, we have something called CIA, which is Customer or Competitor Intelligence Agency. That's our team. And there's like 5 or 6 questions, where are we at on our price? Where are we at on like the features of our product? Now, we're a product company, we're not as much of a job shop, but like, does our product solve for the application, or do we need R&D to solve for your needs? Where are we at with like delivery or stocking? Who's the other people you're buying this solution from? How do you sell? Like, how do you go to market? That's oftentimes like a huge factor in our sales. Is we've got these, like, I'm probably missing a couple, but we've got these CIA questions. They live in our CRM, and our guys have to make sure they're asking those questions and filling that out. So we went from just how many visits do you have to how many CIA reports are you submitting for our key accounts? Because that tells us exactly where we stand, what's the size of the prize, and basically what it takes to win. And so it's like, I don't just want you to visit customers and bring donuts and stuff. Like, you might need to do that, and that's cool. But if you don't come back with that intelligence that we need to reverse engineer their success, we didn't get as much value as we could have.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. So again, in the new customer portfolio, though, all of this hinges on a couple things. Again, there's a psychology in each of these buckets. The psychology of a new customer, before they entertain giving you more, there has to be some boxes checked with what you're already doing. You can't ask for more if you're failing with the current contracts, right? So current customers are only expanded inside the I'll just call it the world of met expectations. So, like, if you're meeting their current expectations or over meeting their current expectations, they're ready to have that conversation all day long. But here's the question you have to ask with the current customer: why would they move more parts to you? Well, okay, so one of the things we sell often, and I'm giving real trade secrets here, we sell often the consolidation of vendors, which is happening a lot in the industry right now. So you can talk, like, right now you're managing 3 vendors. What if you only had to manage 1, right? Now, with every sales, there's an obstacle. The obstacle of that a lot of people that are sending multiple family of parts to you, what happens if you go away? That's a risky thing to have all my parts with one shop, because then I'm not de-risked in my sourcing, right? So you have to think about all this stuff as you're going after new customers. This is why sales strategies fail. People don't think of a couple things. One, where's the head of the person that's going to say yes? How do they think? And then what are the obstacles of them actually saying yes, which is, okay, but if I put all my sources in one boat, will all this work bog your shop down, or will you start missing deadlines? Do you have the staff to handle it? Do you have the machines to handle it? Do you even have the systems to handle it? All of those are obstacles we get to address in those meetings. right?
Yeah. You've these two opposing forces, like the value of streamlining your supply chain and not having to work with 15 different vendors. But then, okay, well, I'm single source now, so I'm higher risk if something happens with that one source. So it's like you got to figure out how to what actually are their triggers, what matters the most to them.
Exactly. Yeah, and the psychology again, the psychology of the new customer is to say yes to you. A couple boxes have to be checked. If lead time and quality are being hit, and you're good, and you've that anytime. So I always say this: anytime I overperform on a part, I always say we love doing business with you as always. And I always put that in. As always, we'd love to look at any more family of parts you'd like us to look at. Mm-hmm. So I deliver value with a request. So that's how the new customer psychology works. It's the law of reciprocity. If you've never read the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, everybody should read that book.
It's a good book, man.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
And his whole point was the law of reciprocity exists in all of our heads. When you do something for me, I feel like I need to do something in return. So the time you deliver that request is when you've delivered on your promise. Does that make sense? And so that's the current customer psychology: is are they meeting their demands and can they handle more? And if all that's yes, now but a lot of whether it's supply chain managers or engineers or purchasing managers, whoever's buying from you, they like the idea of not having to manage multiple vendors. Like that's a good thing for them. They love that. If you can handle it, one of the values of having multiple companies is we mitigate the de-risk sourcing. We say, hey, you could not be more safe with bringing it to us, because if one of us goes away, we got 5 more lined up ready to take you on. Or what you could say if you're a single shop, there's no problem there.
That's a cheat code, Mike. Mike's got a cheat code.
Yeah, but I do have an answer if you only have one shop.
They're still single sourced. You know, it's just through your
but
group.
It's through a family that can that's an insurance policy, right? But here's what you can say if you're a single shop. You know what? If we were to go away, I have 3 machine shops we work with that I'd be able to refer you to right away to make sure that you were taken care of.
Yeah, that's great.
And so you have an answer to that. You just have to be careful that that's true to you.
That's awesome.
I want to go ahead before we move on to the dormant and the newest ones. I just want to plant a seed for our next episode. That reciprocity, when you deliver that, come in, deliver that great set of parts, beat the lead time, come through for them. Great time to ask for more parts. It's also a great time to ask for a quote, a testimonial, some kind of social proof that you can then use in your marketing in the future.
Yeah.
Because they are so happy. They're so happy with you right then.
There's so much low-hanging fruit there that people never pick up. It's crazy.
This is why when I say there's 20%, Mike says that's probably low. He's right. There's so much living inside your current customer base that you are not tapping just because. Oftentimes my GM says this all the time. We are so transactional in the machine shop space. We forget there's still a relationship and a heartbeat behind the person that's hitting send on the PO.
Paul, we get the quote and we don't even say, can we use the quote? Like they're going to say yes. Like, yeah, I just complimented you. You can put it on your site. So sometimes we don't even need to ask for a quote. They already said it in an email or something. You're just like, hey, would you mind if I use that and reference you?
Absolutely.
Like 99% of the time, they're going to say, of course not.
Yeah, exactly.
I've always done that, and I think it's one of the secrets of our growth. And success is that social proof.
Well, even like how you do your trade show booth is so brilliant, where you have your influential customers basically man your booth, so they get it from a third party. Yeah, I love that. It's genius.
Yeah, there's an old statement in social proof. Social proof is truth, even if it's false. And the idea is that if enough people say it, we believe it, even if it's BS. That's how powerful social proof is. So what Paul's saying is, like, you need to underscore that. But the psychology of a current customer is the most open door you have. I'd start there. I drilled down as far as I could get on that point.
Yeah, I think it informs you a lot on how to go get new customers and new business as well. So let's move into that. So let's talk about these other 2 types of customers. Where do you want to go next?
I want to go new because it's tied directly to current. And then I'll go into dormant because dormant's a different beast in and of itself. So what you do, though, before you start going and getting new customers, one of the biggest, I think, issues with most machine shops is, let's just say I've got lathes and mills. Maybe I've got some some 5-axis and some bells and whistles. But let's just say I've got a typical lathe and mill shop, and we're, we mill, we turn. That's what we do. So there's a million different parts I can make on that. But what I would do first is I'd look at the family of parts I'm making for my current customers. I'd find, if you can find the top 3 to 5 parts that are profitable, I'd start there. If you can't, that's okay. Look at the family of parts you make for your current customers and go find every single competitor in the industry. That's where you start, because you already make that part. You're already a niche expert in that part. So when you go after new customers, when we go after new customers, we're not going after new customers of, hey, we make stuff, anything and everything. It's like, no, dude, we make high tolerance bushings for gearboxes. If you need that, I got you, because we make
so now what do you say
those.
to somebody who's like, well, I'm helping them and we've got such a close partnership. Now I'm helping their competitor. How are they going to feel about that? Because I've gotten that from some of my
for sure. Yeah, and you probably will get that. But here's the deal. 99% of the time, your current customers don't know who you're reaching out to, first of all.
Exactly.
And if they do, say, oh, we're trying to continue to help the industry. And so we have to continue to grow our team to be able to support people. And so, we have to market. We've told our customers that, like, listen, unless you give us more work, we have to go find more work. And they understand that. They get that piece.
Absolutely.
Now, if I'm taking proprietary prints and I'm using that to help another customer, you'll get torpedoed on that issue.
Yeah.
But like to that point, people have heard me talk about like the bulk of my work is in oil and gas. That's a big industry, right? That means a lot of things. There's upstream, there's downstream, there's refinery, that's a massive industry. More specifically, Tulsa, Oklahoma and the surrounding area is a hub for what's called artificial lift, right? So it's essentially it's downhole pumps, right? There are probably 10 major OEMs of artificial lift equipment in this Northeast Oklahoma market. I do business with 8 of them because that's what we do. Now, do a lot of their parts look really similar? Do we know that customers XYZ 123 part number is the same as customer ABC 456's part number? But it's there's a hole diameter difference of 10 thou. Yeah, we know that. But to your point, Mike, is go be like we are really good at artificial lift. We talk about it in the sense of oil and gas. What we're really good at is niching down into artificial lift and all the things that go along with that.
Yep. My shop was an expert in cockpit display panels.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Highly intricate, super cosmetic, lots of fine details. And we did work for many of the top companies that put those into Boeing and Airbus airplanes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean when I'm saying that I don't think that you will probably have a customer question you. You just say, hey, we're trying to grow our company and continue to serve. You've been a customer a long time. You will always have our full attention. You know what I mean? And if that's how you, but here's the deal. Again, this is often what happens in our brain. But what if I lose my current customer? I'm like, bro, you cannot think that way. You've got to think growth. The growth mindset says, I'm going to get as many customers as I can. The scarcity mindset says, I want to lose as few as I can.
Yeah. And just the philosophy of the person matters a ton there too. Operating in fear will kill you.
And you can spin that on its head. I mean, if you are truly an expert in that type of part, you're going to be the best vendor at it.
Exactly.
Right? And so you're like, and every customer wants the best vendor. They want the best quality, best expertise, delivery, everything. And if I put one of those cockpit display panels in Mike's shop, he'd probably fail hard at it. If you put one of those uplift things in my shop, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Exactly.
Right? So, you just become an expert in that niche and go leverage that. Find every company that needs that.
I thought artificial lift was like breast implants this whole time. I didn't know you did that, Mike.
And that's Mike's specialty.
Right.
The welders are fantastic at that.
The other argument that too is that I don't design and engineer artificial lift parts. I just make yours. I'm not making it for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right. We know them well, but if we designed our own, it would probably fail. Right. Because we don't know all the engineering and physics behind artificial lift.
Sure.
So you tell us what to make, we'll make it. Is there a lot of common elements to doing those parts? Absolutely. Right. There's certain ports or certain threads or certain all sorts of things, materials, everything else. We're really good at it, but we're only making your part. We're not
Yeah.
making your part
and
for somebody
reinforce,
else.
how seriously you take proprietary information. And
Sure.
keeping their stuff, secure and safe. And
Yeah, we have to do certain things where we have to know kind of where we stop and where our customers begin. And we are capable of building a machine tool, a complete milling machine, a complete
Sure.
lathe or whatever. But we don't want to make our biggest customers our biggest competitors. So we stay in the peripheral side of things.
Right.
I'm not saying there's never a strategic reason for any company to start to like go into the thing, vertically go into whatever the thing is, but you have to know when to cross that bridge. And it's different for different folks.
So, and again, when you think about a current customer, as you guys were just talking, like there's really, when you think about the psychology of why do they choose a different vendor? Because often it's not a prototype that they're taking to market that they're looking for vendor. Most of the time it's parts that are already having made by somebody else. But why are they switching to you? There's a couple things. There's really the pyramid of price, quality, and lead time, right? And so the price, quality, and lead time is this thing. But there's this differentiator that people don't talk about. And that's what Paul just mentioned and what Mike is alluding to is the fact that we know how to do this better than anyone. Because I'll tell you, if Paul's skill set is cockpit, what did you say? What in the cockpit?
Cockpit display panels.
Cockpit display panels and Mike is breast implants. Then if that's their specialty, I guarantee you their price and lead time is probably going to be better than mine. Because I got to figure it out.
Yeah, they got it dialed in. Exactly.
They got it dialed in. They're going to be able to deliver this in much less time, probably a better price because their system's all dialed in. They have a lot less programming time, a lot less engineering time and figuring it out, probably a lot less quality QA time. So they've got all that dialed in. They're going to hit all those things. That's why it's really important. The psychology of the buyer, they're 90% of the time, they're coming to a new vendor because of pain. A previous vendor is underperforming.
Yeah, I just had somebody tell me, your competitor's leaving the door open for you, like
Bingo.
2 days ago.
Exactly. That happens all
They usually don't say it that
time.
directly, but you could tell that's why you have a chance. So,
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So like you've got this thing of why do they come and choose a vendor? The biggest reason is they're experiencing pain with their current suppliers, right? And so they want some other. They start shopping, right? They're shopping around. So that's the big thing. This is why it's important, and I know we're kind of bouncing into marketing a little bit. This is why it's important to be marketing all the time, because you never know when the email hits the day the part doesn't.
Yeah, if you're doing sales or marketing well, you're bouncing it in and out of each other's courts all the time, right?
Exactly.
If your courts are in two separate buildings, there's your problem.
So I'll give an analogy on that real quick, and this dates back 20 years when I'm helping people in professional services. So think like accounting, legal, banking, whatever, market themselves. And Mike, I think you alluded to this beautifully, and I think the machine shop market is very much the same. In a lot of ways, what we do is a zero-sum game, right? So our customers have a machine shop. If you're a bank, your potential customers have a bank, right? They have an accountant. They have an attorney. They have all these things. We all have our things. And very seldom are you going to talk to someone that has one that sucks, because if they suck, they've already changed. So a lot of this new customer thing, to your point of always marketing, is you just need to always be on deck.
You got it.
Right? Like when I find out my bank sucks or my machine shop sucks or my CPA sucks, whatever, I want to be the first person you think of calling.
Absolutely. And we call that in the industry TOMA, top of mind awareness.
Yeah.
So in our industry, TOMA is big. So I'll tell you how this translates to when I used to be a speaker. Anytime I'd go to and I'd speak at an event, I'd take my picture with the event planner and I'd sign it and I'd send it to them. Then they'd put it in their thing. They're staring at me year long. I got more bookings because I'm subconsciously in their dreams in a very creepy way. Maybe not breast implant creepy, but very creepy. I'm inside their head.
Seen that movie? I Love You, Man.
Yeah, exactly.
With the realtor, he puts his face on the urinal cakes.
So
I'm the urinal cake guy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But here's the thing. The thing is, you do this by, you're reaching out to people. You send, like we used to send fairy tale brownies is a great one. Fairy Tale Brownies is an online delivery service of brownies. We'd send brownies to people. Hey, we're doing some other parts for some companies. We saw your company. We'd love to be a vendor if you ever need one in the future. And we sent them brownies. And the reason we always did that is they shared around the office. Oh, who are these from? Oh, Machine Shop over here. Like they carry our name around the office, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you're going after new customers, you have to be top of mind. We're not doing that to win business.
Fairy tale brownies, they're going to want to eat more fairy tale brownies, but they're only legal in certain states.
Yeah,
exactly. You can't send those to Oklahoma.
That's true. That's probably true. That's probably true.
We would make custom cases of bottled water.
Bingo.
With our Machine Shop logo.
I love
cool.
it. That's even great.
The clear choice.
Oh,
We'd like deliver a case of water.
Dude.
They'd put it in their fridge. And they'd be drinking the
that's
clear
beautiful.
choice.
That's the idea of all of that is I just want, when the problem arises, I want them to be thinking of me. That's it.
That's great.
I want to drill into just one little piece on being that top of mind, and when they realize their other vendors suck, why they're going to call you next is this idea of marketing not just your machines and your capacities or whatever, but your business systems and why you have business processes that will pretty much guarantee that you don't suck.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right?
So good. It's so good.
It's so true.
Noah's always like, that's what we're selling is our business system. And I totally agree.
Because ultimately these buyers, strategic sourcing people, they are in the risk mitigation business.
Oh,
they are
100%.
there to make sure their line doesn't go down, their company is impacted. So they want to work with vendors that have really solid systems in place to make sure that you're delivering quality. You're almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
so anyway.
So true.
That's one of my things I just harp on all the time.
I think that cannot be said enough.
And we're getting into marketing here.
Yeah,
but,
I know it is a little bit different.
It's all the same. It's all the same.
But again, if without some of this stuff, they don't reach out to you, right?
Yeah.
And
one thought, guys, like while we're talking, I think you said it was Mike who said like they have a source, and once that source starts to suck, that's when we have an opportunity, And I think about like recruiting people, right? Like the people you want have a job usually. Like an unemployed machinist is hard to find if they're good at machining.
If they're good, right, exactly.
And so like it's very similar too. Like they have a source, but you want to convince them to switch from their source to you.
You want to be the source of choice.
Yeah, and
exactly.
Back to recruiting, and like for me, this has been true, and it becomes more true every year of my life. Who you hire has a lot to do with what type of customers you're going to get.
Sure.
So people, especially more experienced people who have their own network, when you hire somebody, okay, maybe you're a 5-person machine shop, you're the only salesperson. You haven't even hired your first person yet.
Yeah,
but if you hire somebody who's got a big network where they've got really tight relationships and they're like, hey, look, the day I start, I'm very confident I'm going to be able to bring A, B, C, and D. It's kind of like when you acquire a business and you get all this additional revenue. I hire regional sales folks, very rarely do they know nobody. Like that almost never happens. They almost always know people, and I know like through that relationship, it's like LinkedIn. I have all these second degree connections that can become our first degree connections, eventually our customers.
Sure.
And so just think about that too, like who you hire as a growth strategy.
Yeah, I mean that's
absolutely
that's
no doubt
that's
about it.
Prevalent in the example I gave of if you get into professional services, right? Bankers, attorneys, CPAs, etc. They can bounce from place to place quite a bit, and their customers follow them, right? Like my relationships with my banker, not the bank.
Yep.
Right.
100%. 100%.
So yeah, to your point, that's very common in other industries, not, probably not often thought of in our industry.
Yeah, not enough for sure.
No, for sure.
All right. So, anything more on new customers before we move into dormant?
I think that
where do you find them?
Yeah. So again, this is very, very, for us, it's very basic. This is why I look for that family of parts. It's a lot easier to find a part that a company makes and then find a company through that than just who needs a machine shop, right? So this is why it's really important. And then literally I'll pay a VA and I'll say, this is the kind of part I want. I want you to go find me 100 companies within 400 miles that want this part. And literally, they will go and source, and you can even pay for services that get you phone numbers and emails. A lot of times, purchasing managers, they don't put that on websites because they know they're going to get absolutely just absolutely crushed. But usually,
crushed is a good word. The other thing, like if you're in marketing at all, every software, every like Calendly, Linkedly, something that ends in an LY, they're going to be like, hey, we do this. We have a cloud-based thing. It's like, gosh, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. And but here's the importance of, again, Paul, to your point, here's the importance of having, and again, I know we're going into marketing, but you can't sell if you don't market. You got to have somebody to talk to. This is why I think it's important to have some sort of CRM, some sort of customer relationship management
Absolutely.
system. I bought 6 shops, about to be 7. Not one single one have had a CRM. Not one single one have had an ERP, and only 3 of them had websites. So,
oh gosh.
And so if you think about this, which was part of our buying criteria, I wanted people that were tech illiterate.
Yeah. So you can like 5x the value just by like adding basic systems that
Mike and I just did a podcast.
We just talked about this.
Quadrupling your money in 1 year by doing exactly this.
Yeah, you've got to have a CRM. And here's the thing that I love about it. There's 57 different ways to leverage a CRM to get in front of your customers.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll use this as a segue to dormant customers into our third, you call it a 3-legged stool, Paul. I think it's true in the customer base as well. Is when you have your dormant new customers, if you just put your dormant new customers into a CRM, you'd probably find new customers because they could refer you to other people if you were in front of them enough. So the way that we do it is we don't even try to find new customers like strategically. I have a couple times, I mean, as far as a regular strategy practice, I pay for VAs to say, this is the part, I want you to go find me 100 companies within 400 miles and make this part, or whatever the metrics are when I find out that part and how niche it is in the industry. And then she'll go find me the companies. Once I have the companies, then game on. My goal is to weasel into every single person I can find in that company.
Everything starts with a list. I say that all the time. It's so basic, but
it does.
You know, we do top targets and key accounts. So a top target could be a dormant customer. We'll get right into that. But like, I have a list of top targets. Who are we not doing business with or not doing enough business with? And then I want to make sure my team is like active, working a written, finite, workable list, not a list of 1,000 because that's too big to work. But like, who's the list for this initiative, this quarter, this whatever? And then key accounts. You have your list of key accounts. That's a bit of a different strategy. It's more like, how do we gain more business? What else is there for us? But you need 2 lists, maybe 3 lists, but you need lists. I mean, if you don't have a list, start there.
I'll add one tactic to like what we've done to identify new. So we talked about, like, to Mike's point of, we're good at this, let's go chase this. One of the early things I did is like, okay, so again, back to artificial lift, that is a oil and gas pump process essentially, right? So we looked and said, okay, who else does pumps? Not necessarily oil and gas, but pumps in general. And pretty soon we found within a couple hour radius of where we're at, 2 or 3 OEMs that do water pumps for a variety of reasons. And we went after them because at the end of the day, a pump is a pump, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some differentiator between an oil, bringing oil out of the ground and pumping water through a, pipe somewhere, but a pump's a pump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we went after those. We had good success in that area. So it's, I think to Mike's earlier points, like, we're really good at whatever you said about bearings. We're really good at pumps in the industry market, or in the energy market, but are we good at pumps in other markets?
Of course.
Right? So,
yeah, absolutely. Huge.
So a time for a little cheat code, like a modern cheat code, something we couldn't have said 5 years ago, because we do the same thing, Mike. So instead of just like Googling, like, who else makes this? Like, this is a ChatGPT thing. This is a Grok thing. Like, you say, hey, I've done exactly this. We've had a lot of success with this type of customer making this type of thing. Can you find me everyone else in North America who does said thing? And you would be amazed. Like, oh, wow, great. I mean, it gets what you're trying to do and it gives it back to you.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Right now, we are talking a strategy that is post mindset. So if you're listening to this and you don't have the mindset of growth, all of this is going to die at your mindset's inability to
I love
flex.
that. Yeah.
Right. So you've got a mindset issue far before you have a sales strategy issue. I give it, like, it's like me handing a hammer to an attorney. They're going to be like, the only thing they know how to do is wreck stuff with that thing. They don't know how to build anything, right? And so
sue somebody because it was designed wrong.
And exactly. So it's like, just make sure as you're listening to this, you understand all of the ideas that are flowing out of us 4 right now. It's because, like, we've worked hard to switch our mind not away from being engineer thinkers, but toward being growth thinkers. And it takes a lot of work to do that. So just give yourself some grace as you grow in this, but also understand this is where it has to start. You have to start thinking growth, not maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Dormant customers.
Yeah. So dormant customers are those customers that used to work with you, but they don't. The good thing about dormant customers is 99.99% of the time, you have their contact information because you used to do work for them. So you can mine it somewhere, because they don't have CRMs or anything. We usually mine it on the back of a receipt inside of a drawer when we buy these companies, but we can mine it from somewhere. Right. And let me, as I'm talking about the psychology of a dormant customer, actually, I'll say the percentage that you should focus on each of these in a minute. Dormant customers is a great opportunity to dump your new and your dormant customers into a list. But your dormant customers are really good to just reach out to. Hey, I see we used to do some parts for you. Just want to know if we could just come in and chat and see if there's anything we could do for you. No, we built a machine shop inside and we brought all of our parts in-house, so we don't sub anything out anymore. Okay, well, great. Let me know if you ever need any overflow work or you guys get bogged down. Just know we're here as a resource. Appreciate you and good luck with this year. That kind of email, just again,
Easy.
top of mind. Just a little drop of, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. Kind of thing, right? And you can do that with all of your dormant customers. That's a really easy, like boom, boom, boom.
And you can do it so much more efficiently if you have a CRM.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Because you could do this just with a list of emails, but you could make like a nice little templated email. Make sure it's personalized so it doesn't feel like it came from some robot where it says, dear first name. Like, that didn't work. But yeah, just hit them with that and then send one email 200 times instead of doing it.
Yeah, 100%. And what I like to do is two things. I like to do a mid-month and a beginning of month drop. So the beginning of month, hey, just to let you know, this month we've got a lot of amazing parts flying out of our shop. I have 2 openings in the mill about mid-month. If you have anything that needs to be made in a mill, let me know. We've got a little bit of mill time, and the first come, first serve. Let me know if you need anything. So I'll do a pre-month, like right at the beginning of the month, let them know what's open. When mid-month, those 2 mill spots got shut up, but I know that we're going to have some mill time at the beginning of the month, or, my lathe just is about to finish up a big production part. Let me know if you need anything there. I'm continually just letting them know, hey, what floor space opened up, right? I'm just letting them know, hey, what floor space opened up.
And that's another reason why it's so important to have an actual deal pipeline.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Not like your deals don't start at the quote. That starts way before that. And so you can't even do what you're saying if you're not thinking about opportunities pre-quote. Quote's like the last 10%.
Oh, dude, quote is the marriage.
Yeah.
Quote is the request for engagement. Like you've got to date, and if you ask somebody to marry you after the first date, I assure you they will say no.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you should say no.
But most shops, I would say the vast majority of shops, their deal pipeline is just their open quote report.
100%. Yeah. But even that. So Nick, take that. Even if I look back over the last year of all the quotes I lost, for the love of sweet Moses, call those people and see why you lost those quotes, and say, hey, can I come back in and try some more stuff? Were we too high? Was our lead time too long? How can I win some of this business? My goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
So for sure. But the psychology of a dormant customer is a little bit, it's probably the widest range because number one, 9 times out of 10, well, I should say that. Sometimes you don't know why they left.
Right.
Maybe they found a new vendor. Maybe they found one closer to home. Maybe, their daughter got married to a guy who was a machinist or has a daughter that got into machining and she's working for somebody and they wanted to bring and do their family a solid. You have no idea why they left.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the psychology of how to get them back takes some work because we don't know where they are. Did they build a machine shop and they're doing it in-house? Did they find a new vendor? Did that part get discontinued and they change the entire way they did that part? Now it requires a certification. Who the heck knows?
Did you piss them off and you don't even know it?
Exactly.
We've had that happen.
Totally. Sure. Yeah. That's why those meetings are,
they never told us that we sent them a bad part.
Or the reverse is that you pissed them off, you know it, and you live in this weird shame mindset where you're you think they'll never give you another chance, and they probably would if you just said, hey, look, we're over that hump. We're ready to take another shot.
Totally.
I can give you an example of kind of a great dormant customer scenario that's kind of frankly embarrassing, but I'll share it. We were going through inventory, doing end-of-year inventory. We had some parts for a customer that, it was some overrun. We had made more. I think we had actually made more because they order them so frequently, right? So we were just like, hey, next time we run a full bar. And we were going through and it's like, okay, these have been sitting here for a year and a half. Like, let's call them and see if they want them. Otherwise, we need to just like send these to the scrapyard, right? And I call as a matter of fact, so at first I email the buyer that we had always talked to, and I get an immediate like bad email address response. Like, uh-oh. So I call. Takes me a day or two to finally get a call back from someone. They're like, oh my God, you make those? Like, I've been looking for a year for somebody that can make those. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've got 7 sitting on the shelf.
Yeah.
Right? And
oh my gosh.
so we had gone 2 years of not
geez.
doing business with this person because they just went dormant. We didn't pay attention. We didn't know why they went dormant. We didn't even know they went dormant. And it was all because a buyer left. It wasn't
Exactly. That happens
anything.
a lot. That
It
happens
was
a lot.
nothing. Yeah, it was nothing we
have
did
those
wrong.
stories too.
It was
Yeah.
nothing like that. And then once we reestablished, like, yes, we make those. They bought the ones we had on the shelf and have continued ordering parts since.
Mhm.
Right. So,
and then you get on that quarterly sequence of just
Right.
visiting with them.
and that
you know.
happens without you ever knowing it happened because you're busy handling everything else you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's another reason to like be connected on LinkedIn with all your buyers
Sure.
and engineers. So like, oh, new job. Oh, you're in a new place. There's an opportunity. And I got to go check on the old customer because now you're gone.
Exactly. That's
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's so huge. And what we have seen in that transition of purchaser, wherever they go, they sometimes will take a vendor with them. They
Oh, sure.
all the times will take a relationship with them.
Yep.
And this is why building that relationship is so vital. Because if you're just a vendor on XYZ spreadsheet of a PO request list, then every time I need this part, quick tech machining. Okay. There you go. Like done. I don't know that Mike's behind there. I don't know that he cares about his employees. I don't know his philosophy of business. I don't know whether he's trying to help people. I don't know anything. So that's why that relationship is so important. So in dormant customers, you just got to get there. But I will say this, because I know that we're probably getting short on time. I will say this as we look at these 3 customers. If I had to break it up, I would say you're going to spend 60% on your current customers, 30 on your dormant customers, and 10% on new customers. If you break this up, this is really how we focus on this. We spend over half our time just talking with our new customers, loving on them, making sure they know that we're grateful for their business, and we want every single part in their shop. Every single one that fits our shop. Some parts
Sure.
don't fit us. Like there's one of our customers that does a lot in carbide. But we're not great at that. Like we just aren't good at it. And so we ship that out. We help find them a source and secure them a source for a carbide and not play the middleman. Yes, I could play the logistical hero and make money, but I'm like, hey, I'm going to help find you a source for your carbide because I know I'm going to get the rest of your stuff, right? So 60% in your new customers. You're going to start emailing your dormant customers on that 30, and then 10% you're going to go after new. Those are the hardest to get and the longest sales cycle, and the other 2 are way shorter, and you can get the cash a lot faster.
This is good. This is so good. And we could go on for like literally 4 more hours.
Yeah,
and,
it's true.
And I want to do that too, Mike. So maybe not 4 hours, but there's a couple things I want to do in other subsequent episodes, like probably on Machine Shop growth.
Sure.
So if you'll have me, there's some things I want to talk with you about. I want to talk about CRM more in a more detailed way.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how like nobody can manage results. You know, you can set strategic objectives and manage activities, but you can't manage the result itself. So to your point, like if that shop strategy is 60, 30, 10, okay, what activities are you going to commit to those strategic
100%.
objectives, and then how are you going to make sure you're doing what you said you're going to do?
Exactly.
And then I want to talk about compensation. So if you're the owner and you're the only salesperson, your compensation is like every company needs sales to be profitable. Pay yourself that way. But once you get to the point where you start to actually have a sales team and you start to hire people, and you want them to want what you want as the business owner, how do you align a compensation package so that like you're both pulling in the same direction, and so that you're incentivizing them to do those activities towards those strategic objectives? So we'll have to do that on maybe 1 or 2 more episodes on like your pod, probably, if you'll have me. But this was really great covering those 3 types of customers, and where I totally agree with you. This is where shops should start.
I'll add to that for the listeners, and I tried to look it up while we were talking. I didn't find it exactly, but maybe we can throw it in show notes. There was an episode of Making Chips somewhere in the, I'm going to guess 150 range, and we're pushing 500 now. So it's been a few years. That was about buyer personas. So in each of the categories that Mike just mentioned, there's also buyer personas, right? So
100%, dude.
that's something we deal with where like I really try to drill into, that my buyer at company X versus my buyer at company Y might have drastically different compensation boosts, like all sorts of reasons they want to buy from certain companies. Some may be very price sensitive. Some are lead type sensitive. Some are quality sensitive. I mean, if you look at our industry in those 3 buckets, you need to understand those inside of the 3 buckets we talked about, right?
Yeah,
so we talked about 3 types of customers. Inside of that, there's really 20 more, right?
Oh,
So,
totally. And those sensitivities, Mike, are often driven by past pain.
absolutely. Yeah.
They're always driven by past
100%.
pain. If quality is my thing, it's because some guy in the past or some girl in the past didn't focus on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I would encourage people, and let's make sure we get it in the show notes, but like to go listen to that buyer persona episode. It's really good about talking about some of those different strategies.
And compare it to the next episode that will go out will be with Joe from Gorilla 76, and I guarantee you he's going to talk about personas.
Absolutely.
Because I know Joe. And so, yeah, go listen to that 150, whatever number that is, and then listen to the one that comes after this, because it's going to be great. We'll see how things have evolved.
And there's one thing I want to kind of ground us in. We talked at the beginning about the importance of, this is personal. Like, we have a lot of mouths to feed at our companies. The bigger we get, the more we have to make sure we do that well. So we can make sure we support those folks. So there's that side of it, which in some ways is a little bit of a scarcity mindset, like making sure you don't run out of work. But on the growth side, like being a sales-driven organization gives you options. When you have positive sales pressure, that means more opportunities coming in than you actually have capacity for. You can become selective. You can raise your prices. You can fire bad customers. You can optimize the profitability of your business in a way that you just cannot do when you don't have that positive sales pressure. So
true.
And also, like you just talked about people, the scarcity mindset would be like, I hope they don't lose their jobs because we run out of sales. But the growth mindset would be like, I want them to retire with this opportunities
Yeah, I'm going to create opportunities
and have their
them.
Compensation increase, and meet all their dreams for their growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Within my business, assuming they want to stay there, and grow with you, but you got to make them see that vision that you have and how they fit into it. And so, there's the scarcity thing not running out, but hey, we're going to make an incredible future together. You're going to be a part of it, and you get to share in the spoils.
Totally. And to your point, Paul, about, that positive sales pressure, because, it's a scarcity way to think, if I don't lose work. Here's what I'm realizing with a lot of shops. Nobody who can't breathe in the moment is thinking about where they're going to eat for dinner that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And a company that is looking at a number in their bank account that is less than payroll is not thinking about, man, I should take a golf trip with my buddies. I should take my wife out for dinner.
I need work-life balance.
Yeah, I need work. I haven't read a good book lately. And so the idea here is that without that positive sales pressure and the options you're talking about, I'm starved for oxygen all the time in my company.
Absolutely.
And and I think this is why a lot of people don't think growth. I think growth scares the hell out of people. Because I think you start growing, and this is where the mindset needs you. You start growing, it's like, oh, that's more people, that's more burden, that's more.
You got to buy 2 machines. I need a new forklift, like whatever.
And so this is where the mindset. We gotta turn that in. There's going to be some cracking and bolts cracking and things flying off that to get our mindset to shift into growth. And so it's not an easy thing. Doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, we'll have to have Jen double check this, but ChatGPT tells us that episode 105 is the one.
Is it 105?
Wow. Cool.
Dude,
awesome. Good job.
ChatGPT is
red
smarter.
Caffeine. Yeah.
ChatGPT is smarter than all of us.
Let's
just admit it.
Dude, holy smokes.
That's a whole nother episode, Mike. Like how to use AI in sales to grow your business.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Because AI can help you with a lot of this stuff now.
Yeah.
It's really if you're a baby boomer that doesn't have a CRM and has heard the word website once, then you probably aren't thinking of AI.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we got to help people. All right, man.
Well, this has been awesome.
Super good episode.
This was great.
Yeah.
Solid.
And it was long, but it was just full of like good stuff the entire time. So thank you and we knew it would be. That's why we had you.
Well, I'm really grateful, but this was as much you guys as me, and I really appreciate all the every single person on this show knows what it's like to be short on cash, knows what it's like to be abundant with cash. Sometimes I think people listen to us and they're like, yeah, they don't know what it's like to be scared they can't make payroll. The hell I don't.
Yeah,
I guarantee you I know what that's like. So I just want you to know that we're not the team that's all, got everything figured out, but we do know a few things that work. And so I appreciate all you guys. I learned a lot from you guys.
Yeah, check out, if you like our show, you'll like Mike. You'll like Mike's show, Machine Shop Growth. You can find it on any podcatcher. You'll find it on our website. It's one of the Making Chips family members, arguably the most attractive Making Chips family member, second to probably Paul. But look, if you have a scarcity mindset, you will not be making chips.
And if you're not making chips,
not making money.
Bam.